guys. This week for social studies, we're gonna go over the Great Depression. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and read you your reading material for this week. As I am reading, I want you guys to pay attention to the red underlined words. You'll be looking for the meaning of the words, so use your context clues. You look at the words around the word in red to see if you can find the definition of that word. Alrighty, let's begin. The Great Depression. The turn of the century was a time of tremendous growth and prosperity for Texans as it was for most Americans. Businesses were growing and new inventions such as the automobile, telephone, and refrigerator were making day-to-day life much more comfortable. Those alive during this time period, which was known as the Roaring Twenties, would probably have never guessed that the next decade, the 1930s, would bring one of the most difficult times in American history. We refer to this time as the Great Depression. An economic depression is a time period in which businesses slow down, many lose their jobs and their savings, and the economy or financial well being declines. Even today, people that study history, or historians, and people that study issues that relate to money, economists, still debate about exactly what caused the Great Depression. Most would agree, however, that it was a combination of different factors that led up to these troubling times. One factor that is not disputed is that the stock market played a big part in the Great Depression. A stock is a share of ownership in a company. When a company makes a profit, those that have ownership or own stock in the company also make a profit. In the 1920s, many people invested their extra money in the stock market. Some even borrowed money from the bank to invest in stocks because businesses were growing so quickly and doing so well. In the late 1920s, however, some businesses began to fold, and people that owned stock in those companies lost money. As news began to spread about people losing money in the stock market, many rushed to take their money out before they too lost money. On October 1929, so many people rushed to sell their stocks that stock values fell terribly. For many people, the money they got back when they sold their shares was worth even less than what they had paid for them in the first place. As a result of diminishing stock prices, businesses lost money and were forced to close. When businesses closed, workers lost their jobs. Banks also suffered during this time because people could not repay the money they had borrowed to buy the stocks. Banks could no longer do business unless loans were repaid. Unable to do business, many banks were forced to close, and people who had money in these banks lost their entire life savings. Without money to pay their bills, people lost their homes. Some even had to beg for food to eat. While the stock market was seen as a profit-making opportunity in the early 1920s, it ended up being quite the opposite by the turn of the decade. Falling stock prices led to a chain reaction of unfortunate events that caused a depression in this country like we had never seen before, and fortunately have not seen since.